Hello, everyone. My name is Second Wind, and welcome back to Second Wind Tales. Every story on this channel is made to help you become emotionally stronger, calmer, and more present in your own life. Today, I want to share a story that completely changed the way I think about worrying. The title of today's story is The River She Watched. Some of us spend our whole lives getting ready for the worst day. We get very good at it. And while we are getting ready, all the ordinary days go past us one after another, and nobody warns us that those were the ones that weren't coming back. So let's begin. Hanne Vos was 9 years old the first time she saw water take a house. It was her grandmother's house at the bottom of the valley, and the river came in the night and took it in about 40 minutes. In the morning, there was a chimney and a doorstep and nothing else. Her mother stood on the bank in her nightclothes and did not say a single word. And Hannah stood beside her and watched her mother's face, and something in her decided, right there, that this would never happen to her. 25 years later, Hannah ran a small guest house on that same river, 6 rooms, a garden, breakfast for the walkers who came through in summer. She had a husband for a while, and then she did not. And she had a daughter called Liv, and she had a plan. She had raised the foundation of that house by 1/2 meter with her own savings. She had sandbags in the shed and checked every one of them each autumn. She had insurance she could barely afford and paid before she paid anything else. She had an evacuation plan pinned inside the kitchen cupboard, and she taught Liv to read it before she taught her to ride a bicycle. And every morning of her life, before anything else, Hannah walked down to the bank and looked at a flat, gray stone at the water's edge and noted where the water stood against it. Every morning, for 22 years. I want to be fair to her because none of that was foolish. If you had asked anyone in that valley whether it was wise to prepare for a flood, they would have said yes, obviously. The problem was never the preparation. The problem was that it did not stay preparation. It became the forecast on before she opened her eyes. It became a knot in her stomach every time the sky grayed over. It became a school trip canceled because of rain 3 days out. And Liv's 7th birthday moved twice. And Liv's friends slowly not coming anymore, and Liv learning very early not to ask for anything that depended on weather, because everything in that house depended on weather. There was one evening when Liv was 14. It had been raining 2 days, and Hannah had been down to the stone 4 times, and she was standing at the dark window watching, and Liv came and stood beside her. And Liv said, quietly, not unkindly, "It's just rain, Mom." And Hannah said, "You don't know what it can do." And Liv said, "Neither do you. It's never done it." Hanne lay awake most of that night and not about the river. Liv left at 19. There was no fight. She went to the city for work and came home for Christmas and then for a shorter Christmas and then for a day. Here's the moment it broke open. Liv was 26 and she got engaged and she set a date, and Hannah found out from a neighbor in the shop. Not because Liv was cruel. Hannah understood that immediately, standing there with a bag of flour in her hand. Liv hadn't told her because Liv didn't want to have a conversation about the date. She didn't want to hear about the forecast. Hannah went home and sat at the kitchen table a long time. Then she got up and did what she had done every day for 22 years, and walked down to the stone. And standing there in the cold, she found she could recite the water levels of 2 decades. She could tell you the wettest March. She could tell you the year the stone stood 3 feet clear. And she could not tell you her daughter's favorite song. The flood she had been holding off for 22 years had already come. It had come slowly, an inch at a time, and taken everything she was actually afraid of losing. It just hadn't come to the house. Now here is the part of this story that surprised me. The flood did come. The following spring, after a hard winter and a fast thaw, the river came over the bank and 4 inches into the ground floor. And her preparation worked. The raised foundation held. The sandbags went exactly where the written plan said. The insurance paid. She and 2 neighbors cleared it, the floors dried, the doors stuck for a season, and then stopped. It took 2 days. 2 days. She had spent 22 years being afraid of 2 days. She sat on the wet step when it was finished and did the arithmetic, and it nearly took her breath away. The preparing had saved her house. She was right about that. But the preparing had cost about 6 hours a year. The fear had cost everything else. She had confused the two her whole life. She had believed the fear was doing the work. The fear had never done anything. The sandbags did the work. 2 weeks later, Hannah got on a train and went to the city without phoning ahead, which she had never done in her life. She made no speech. She sat in her daughter's small kitchen and asked one question. She asked what Liv wanted for the wedding. Not the date, not the season, not what would happen if, just what she wanted. Liv looked at her for a long moment and then started to cry, which neither of them expected, and it was a while before she could answer. Hannah still keeps the sandbags. I want to be clear about that. She checks them every autumn, and she always will, and she's right to. She just stopped going down to the stone every morning. So let me ask you something. What is the thing you have been getting ready for? The conversation you're dreading, the phone call, the collapse. And be honest, how many hours this week have you already given it? And has it happened yet? Here is the one thing you can do with this. Take whatever you're afraid of and write it on a piece of paper. One line. Then write a date beside it, 3 months from today, and put it somewhere you'll find it. When that date comes, read it back. Most of what you write will not have happened. Not some of it. Most of it. And the 1 or 2 things that did, you'll notice you handled in an afternoon, after fearing them for a season. You won't believe that from me. That's fine. Write the paper and let yourself find out. Because you cannot stop a flood by watching the river. You can only miss 20 years of everything that isn't the river. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who may need to hear it, and subscribe to Second Wind Tales for more meaningful stories about hope, courage, and personal growth. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next story.